Oh, no! Fuck! Am I gonna have to hold this? Please don't make me hold this. Have I done it? I've done it. Oh my God. Yes, it stopped wobbling. Hello! Guten Morgen. Bonjour. Hola. Fucking wagwan, people. Today, we're gonna be running through my density day. It's exactly what it says on the tin, right? It's designed to make me thick. Like a big fat fucking chode. Right. Enough of that. So, it is basically just a session designed to hit the hamstrings, the glutes, the back and the quads. Pretty much the muscles which make you look thick, make you look dense. The only thing it's missing really is a bit of chest, but we all know I'm blessed in that department, so we don't really need much more chest. So I'm gonna run you through that, and the main thing I wanna go through today is I'm gonna teach you all how to hip hinge properly, how to RDL, how to glute drive, hip thrust. Basically any exercise where your hips are moving back and forth, that's called a hip hinge, right? So a deadlift, an RDL, a stiff leg deadlift, a hip thrust, they are all hip hinges. They're designed to target your glutes, your hamstrings. And a lot of people butcher them, fuck them up, because they get sold by these absolute mass monsters. You must deadlift, you must RDL for a big back. Cap, I call cap. You don't, mate. An RDL is a hamstring, mainly glute exercise, right? Will your lower back be working isometrically? Yes. Yes, it will. But it is not a back exercise primarily. We'll get that straight from the off. It is not a back exercise. Enough ranting. I need a shit because I've just inhaled a scoop and a half of overdrive. It took a while to hit me, but it's now starting to hit me. The tingles are coming, so let's get inside before I shit myself. The only thing I'm focused on is my hips. What my hips are doing, right? 3 things I think about before I start. Chin tucked, not to a point where like I'm giving myself fucking rolls, because I've noticed in the past, if you tuck a little bit too much, I've pulled my neck before from doing that. So what I would do is just pick a point, a spot on the floor, stare at that. Don't be watching yourself in the mirror. I see people all the time doing an RDL and the neck's like this, trying to look at themselves in the mirror. You're just going to be putting your spine into extension, which brings me on to my second point, neutral spine. So you've got an extended spine, which is like that. You've got a flexed spine, and then neutral is in the middle. So what you're going to think about doing, keeping your rib cage tucked, so you're not thinking about going like that, tucked. If you're using a belt, I would advise using a belt if you've got one. Think about expanding that stomach out into the belt. That's going to provide that brace. Think about a Coke can, right? If you try and smash a Coke can, which is full, you've not opened it yet because it's full of pressure, you're not going to be able to do it. Whereas if you've got an empty Coke can, or even if you just pop the lid on that Coke can, you're going to very easily be able to crush it, right? That's what you've got to create within your midsection, is that intra-abdominal pressure. So, tuck that chin, neutral spine, and then what you're thinking about is, pretend there's a wall behind you, right? And you're trying to touch that wall with your arse. You're just pushing your hips back. As soon as your hips do not move any further back, that's your range of motion finish. If the bar continues traveling down to the floor, but your hips aren't going backwards, guess where that's coming from? It's coming from your back. So you're going to be putting extra stress on your lower back. So if you're finishing your RDLs or any sort of deadlift variation and you've got a serious lower back pump, the likelihood is you're not using your hamstrings and your glutes, you're just pulling with your back, which is what I used to do. I used to try and pull that weight with my back because I heard so many fucking people in the fitness industry saying, you know, a deadlift and an RDL, the back exercises, you must do this to build your back. They're not. The hamstring and glute exercises, will you build your lower back through hip hinging? Yeah, you will. But something like a hyperextension, something where it's going to hit it more directly, is probably going to be better. I had one of my clients the other day. He sent me an RDL clip and he was like, what are you looking for when you're watching it? Because I don't know what you're actually looking for. And I said to him, I was like, without this sounding weird, I'm watching your arse, because I'm just watching where your hips go. So if you watch me, the bar doesn't go any further down. As soon as my hips stop going back, that's it. The range of motion ends there. I pause and then I drive back up. And that's what that exercise at the start of the session was for. The banded hip thrust is just there to just ingrain that movement pattern into my brain. Right, next exercise is a chest supported row. We're trying to bias the upper back here. Usually I would go with either the prime seated row or the prime extreme row. I'm a big fan of the prime extreme row, but with this being the second exercise in my workout, this machine, this Cybex row, it's very hard to get short, which when you're fresh is okay, it's acceptable. And I like this, it feels very, very smooth. I ran this up to the full stack plus, I can't remember. There was a gym pin and some, I think it was like a 2.5 or a 1.25 on before, last year. Ran this up for quite a while, so I don't know what I can do on this. I haven't done it for a while. I'm going to do a couple of warm-up sets, see how it feels, and then see what weight we run with. All we're focusing on here is as much scapular movement as we possibly can. Think about actively reaching during that eccentric, let those shoulder blades fully protract. Think about hiding your chest with your shoulders, and then on the way back, we're driving those elbows as far back behind the body as we possibly can. We're going to need a different song selection, I think, for this set. There's currently... People ask me, like, how the fuck do you listen to music like that when you're training? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I zone out when I'm training. Like, I'm that focused, I zone out. Sometimes I'm not even aware of what's playing through my ears. It's sort of like white noise, like it just helps me block everything out and really focus. This is my single on playlist, playing at the moment. If anyone took A-level PE, you will have heard about like the optimal levels of arousal. Not that kind of arousal, like I'm not walking around the gym with a fucking sound. High arousal would be really fucking amped up and hyped up. And you might see some people do this, so AJ Morris, not AJ Morris as much, Keithy West, if you've ever seen him train, he gets very fucking amped up, like fucking shouting, screaming. I used to try and emulate that, and all it did was fatigue me, like fucking shitloads. Especially on legs, I'd finish a session and I'd be absolutely battered, like in terms of my CNS, my brain would just feel absolutely fried because I was putting so much energy into just screaming and shouting, rather than if you just find your level, you'll perform much better. I prefer to be a little bit more chilled, not sitting here listening to classical music, but it's finding that balance, basically. Just find that fucking balance. Tips for any upper back exercise: make yourself big. You'll see before I even unwrap that, I'm sitting upright, my chest is proud. I'm thinking about filling my rib cage with air, making everything strong, making this core like a fucking block, a column, because trust me, your back muscles are going to be able to actually work a lot harder when all this is stable. Because if you think about it, your scapula moves around your rib cage, it goes forward, protracts around it, glides around your rib cage. And so if you can keep that rib cage still stable, because I see a lot of people train, mate, they're like fucking like floppy fish, like if you just prodded them they'd fall over. Like that's genuinely how I see some people train. And you've got to make everything as stable as you possibly can. The only thing that should be moving is what's supposed to move. So if you're doing a lateral raise, find as many anchor points as you possibly can, grip onto the cable stack, push into the floor, make your midsection, your core strong, and then raise. And trust me, the difference can be night and day. I've genuinely just spent the last... Get this magnetized sometimes. Like genuinely, about 10 or 15 minutes trying to work out how to use this seatbelt. It come undone genuinely about 6 months ago. And I tried Googling how to fix it and I couldn't. And then I thought, you know what, I'll just use my fucking initiative and try and figure it out myself, and done it within about 30 seconds. So I could have done that a long time ago. I'm going to go with this pullover. I had this in my programme last year when I was being coached by Brightman, and I really like it. So I'm going to run it up again because I really fucking enjoy it. The Cybex one, I'm pretty sure it's Cybex. It's either Cybex or Nautilus. They've got the exact replica that Dorian used to use at EP Jungle, and I always talk about it because I fucking love it. This one's okay, so we'll go with this. So I've just had a look on rep counts. This is the benefits of tracking your lifts. And the last time I did this, I got 97 for 10. And that's after running it up for a long fucking time. I had this in for a good 6-7 months, I think, at least. And I've just done 88 for 10. So we're only one pin down. So I reckon I could definitely run that up past, like way past that. And I'm lighter than I probably was last time I did that as well. So that will have been probably peak bulk, 94 kilos. So I'm sitting about 9 kilos lighter. Obviously I did have a bad shoulder last time I did this as well, whereas now it's not 100%, but it's getting there. Right, so that is the back portion of the workout done. Obviously, the glutes and hamstrings have already been hit to some degree. But now it is time to finish off the legs, basically. So we've got pendulum squat, going into a seated leg curl, and then going into leg extension. So we've got 1 set on the pendulum, 2 sets on the seated leg curl, and then 1 set to finish off the quads on the leg extension. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to shut the fuck up and do my pendulum squat set. But then when I'm doing the leg extension, I'll explain what I'm doing. That was one of them sets where you get to like the 4th rep and you're like, right, I've said I'm going to get a certain number of reps here. I don't think I'm going to get them, but we're going to have to fucking go for it. And I did it. 8 reps. Genuinely, when I got to the 7th rep, I thought to myself, right, I've got to get this and 1 more. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but somehow fucking did it. So yeah, that just proves the mind. The mind is what 100 mean. And to finish, we're on calves. Calves. Usually, I will use the standing calf raise, but I've got fucked up hips, right? My entire body's fucked up. So when I do that standing calf raise, my left foot, ankle, that entire region is weaker than my right. Like I can't go right up onto my tiptoes and push through my big toe like I can on my right foot. I twisted my ankle playing football about, it must have been a year ago now, and ever since then, my left ankle, my left calf, my left foot is just weaker. Have you ever tried, when you sit on the toilet, point all of your normal toes, not your big toe, the other 4, point them to the floor and stick your big toe up. That's how you can test how strong your feet are and how strong the arch is in your foot. Now with my right foot, I can do that easily. With my left foot, my big toe just twitches, it can't do it. And I've been trying to strengthen it, but it just doesn't get any better. Some days it's okay, some days, like today, it just isn't playing ball. So I thought I'd try this. This is a donkey calf raise, so the weight sits on like, you'll see in a sec, it sits on your arse, sits on your hips, rather than obviously going through your entire spine and loading your spine by having the weight on your shoulders. So hopefully, well, I've just done 2 sets of it, it feels good. So I'm gonna try and run this up. To be honest, I just look like I'm taking it up the arse. Don't tap. And that is my density session. I did miss off the leg extensions. I didn't actually end up doing them because my quads were so fucked from that pendulum squat set. They were just shaking on the leg extension. And with that Pinata leg extension, you all know how I feel about that. They've got the prime coming. What day are we on today? Wednesday. It's coming on Friday. So on Friday, they've got the prime leg extension, the prime seated leg curl, and there's another one. Another prime piece. But yeah, I'm very excited to use those leg days from now on in old school. They're gonna be sick. So as always, if you did enjoy the video, drop a like, click subscribe because plenty more videos are coming, and I'll speak to you very soon.